What's up, everybody? I'm going to do a quick reading for the week of August 3rd through the 9th. Let's see. For the collective, looking at the overall energy for this week for August 3rd through the 9th. I think I said the 6th through the 9th. I had 6 on the brain because I was thinking about Tesla's 369 theory, which I don't really know much about, so I'm not going to speak to it, but it just came to mind when I was looking at the dates for this week, which is August 3rd through the 9th, and just looking at the overall energy for this week. So Tesla is something that interests you. And I'm not talking about the car manufacturer or the space rockets, but Nikola Tesla. Anyway, let's take a look at the overall energy for this week, August 3rd through the 9th, for my collective. If you are here, if you found this message, it is meant for you. I have the intention set that if you have found me, the messages here are for you. These are general readings, yes, but they're also meant for a very specific collective that is in alignment with my energy, or that I'm in alignment with the energy of. So taking a look at the overall energy for this week, August 3rd through the 9th, I do like to wait for the cards to flop instead of choosing a card, and it does require a little bit more shuffling, and I apologize. If you don't like the shuffling, please fast forward through. But again, looking at the overall energy for August 3rd through the 9th, we got 2 cards, Grace and Kindness, the Deer and the Fairy Godmother. For this deck, I do, and then I'll clarify with some tarot cards, but I do like to read what the deck actually says. And for this, it says, take a breath, let go, and enter into the realm of grace. Life is so much bigger and wider than you know. Guides and guardians are watching over you, so you can surrender to divine forces. There's a kind of spiritual nobility that accompanies grace, even when your opinion is absolutely right. Sometimes the higher wisdom is to simply let go. The Creator knows the truth of this situation, even if others do not. Hear the truth of others without reacting or responding with angst. When you do this, you open to the infinite love of the universe. Continue to say the affirmation, all is well, and it truly is. For the Fairy Godmother, the most important person to be kind to is yourself. Lovingly and unconditionally accept yourself just as you are. If you could see yourself as the Fairy Godmother sees you, you would know exactly how wondrous you are. With gentle amusement and kindness, accept that sometimes you don't accept yourself. These occasional self-recriminating thoughts just make you human. This card indicates a time of caring connections between you and others. This can be romantic, in friendships, or in business dealings. It is a card of very good fortune. And of course, the more you can release judgments and negative beliefs about yourself, the more compassion you will have for others. This is a universal law. If you find the situations or people that seem to lower your frequency, think about stepping away. Life is too short. Be gentle with yourself. Laugh at your foibles. Know that you are immensely lovable and that you are loved. There's a lot of gentleness with that. Gentleness and kindness with self is really what I'm getting for the overall energy for this week. So there may be some things happening this week that are going to require you to be a little bit more kind with yourself. I'm just going to go ahead and stick this in the holder here. But genuinely, this is a week about being gentle and kind to yourself and to others. A lesson in this is recognizing that it's easier to be kind to others when you're kind to yourself. And I think a lot of us will find that the people around us who are the least kind are generally the ones who have the biggest problem with themselves. And they often won't admit it because those people are extremely wounded. But it's an opportunity to look at our own wounding and see what those people in our life might be mirroring back to us and what we might need to look at in ourselves. Generally, I have this situation with a person who I continue to allow in my life, for better or for worse. I, make my own excuses for why that person remains. But the reality is that person is extremely unkind to me, and they shouldn't be in my life, 100%. But then I realize that it's their own wounding. That's why they behave the way they do. And the fact that I allow it is just a reflection of things that I still need to look at for myself. And I think that's the overall message today. Or with that, being kind is, it starts with self. And if we're allowing people who don't treat us very well to remain in our life, then we're only betraying ourselves. So again, looking at August 3rd through the 9th this week, it's a 5-card reading. The energy that you're in is the first card. It's the energy that collective is in spirit this week, August 3rd through the 9th. I did flip that card. Came out in reverse. Initially, I think it wanted to come out upright. We're going to leave it there. I'm going to read it there like that for now. And then we can clarify if needed. Looking at the collective energy, and meaning for the collective, I mean the people that are kind of like outside of you at this time. What's happening or impacting, interfering, or interrupting flow for this week? What is interrupting flow for this week, Spirit, for my collective? What is interrupting flow for the collective this week? How can my collective overcome the distractions this week, August 3rd through the 9th? How can the collective overcome distractions? That one did not come out, but one is pop. There we go. And what is the overall outcome for the week, August 3rd through the 9th, Spirit? What is the overall outcome for this week, August 3rd through the 9th, Spirit, for my collective? It's about as good as it gets. Excuse me again. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip of water. Let's see. So, this is interesting because it almost looks like the energy that we're in, or that I'm in, and this is where like that grace and kindness to self is really coming in, because we've got the Queen of Wands in reverse, which basically means that we're holding ourselves back from pursuing our own passion, for going after the things that we really want. It's we're interrupting the flow with the outside collective energy with the Page of Wands. That's really some inspiration. I'm looking at this card here, and it looks like a lot of people are in some really sweet energy. And that's good, because that's supportive. When asking, like, what kind of the people around us, that's what I'm looking at with this second card, is what are the people around us? Really, what kind of energy are the people around us in? And it looks like there's some sweet, supportive, kind of inspirational energy around us, where it's like people are looking, we're being harder on ourselves here than the people around us are. And I would think that that's something to look at, is that we're really impeding our own flow this week, instead of kind of embracing like the sweet energy that is available to us. With this Two of Swords, and there's some butting of heads, it's really interesting because here we are in this kind of like impeding our own flow energy, the collective energy. The people around us are feeling sweet and, you know, wanting to be supportive, and we're kind of fighting it. And this is mental. So there's the swords energy is very much mental energy. So maybe it's worth looking at why we might be fighting the people that are trying to help us at this time. It's a interesting like kind of juxtaposition here in this energy. And then basically this fourth position here, how to overcome any distractions that are out there. And this is a retreat. So instead of being out here fighting people that are trying to help us, it's probably a time to go within and recenter our energy this week. Even though the people around us are in some really sweet energy, it'd be easy for us to kind of go out and just kind of come up against, I feel like there's this just like picking a fight for fight's sake, which isn't necessarily the healthiest energy to be in, but there might be a good reason why this collective is in it. And maybe it's just this, people are coming toward us for support or to be supportive and to offer some goodwill, and we're fighting it for whatever reason that may be. And it doesn't really matter why. It's just, it seems that there's a mental energy of just like, I can't be bothered. I'm going to fight against this no matter who comes at me. I'm just going to push them off. I'm going to stand my ground here and not let them come at me. I'm just going to pull these down because I feel like that's really important. Because we're in this energy, this Queen of Wands reverse. Other people around us are feeling really sweet toward us, and we're just kind of like, no. And Spirit is saying, hey, look, can you be in a position, a place of grace and kindness? And these people may be well-intentioned, or maybe it seems like they're coming in very well-intentioned, very sweet, very curious, very, it's just like, I just got the mental image, like the toddler kind of like pulling on the mom's skirt, right? Where it's just like, mom. And the kid isn't trying to be a pain in the butt, but it's very much just like looking to give a little bit of love, you know? And meanwhile, we're all like, no. So I guess the point here is, instead of causing a fight, instead of getting into a fight, instead of maybe using words that are not going to be helpful and kind in this situation, is just really just to kind of like pull our energy back, retreat into ourselves. What was I reading? I was reading something earlier today about not reacting, but responding. And so I think that if we can just pull our energy back, be in this hermit space, which is, hey, not like stay away from me, but I'm needing a little space for myself this week. And even just pausing before responding, which takes a lot of self-control. And for people like myself who are, I'm a Gemini, and it just comes out of my mouth sometimes without a whole lot of, definitely without grace at times, where it's like, it's just blunt and to the point, and this is how I feel about it, and I'm unapologetic about it, and it's just what it is. And that's not always, even though I feel like I'm being honest and this is how I really feel and I'm just telling you how I really feel, sometimes it's not the most kind way to approach things. But with all of this, with this kind of like holding ourselves back, a little bit of fighting energy in between, or just mental, and this might not even be with other people. This could be that, as I'm thinking about the Gemini who's the twins, and this could be a mental battle within yourself. And it's the mental ruminations. It's the, well, I could do this or I could do that, or it's like, I'd like to do this, but I really don't want to do that. There is a mental fight that's happening in here. And that seems to be the biggest interruption, because whatever it is that is interrupting our flow and preventing us from moving forward this week has nothing to do with anybody else. It's coming from inside the house. And so Spirit is asking us to basically retreat into ourselves, and with the Hermit card here, and to kind of go into that hermit cave and look at our own light and kind of look at our own side of the street here and do whatever kind of cleanup we need to do. As I'm looking at this little fairy cottage that the fairy godmother is in here with the kindness. It's grace and kindness. I think this is incredibly, yeah, be impeccable with your word, right? That's one of the 4 agreements. I think that there's some real necessity in being kind to ourselves this week. The overall outcome for the week is the 10 of Cups. So a lot of happiness this week. And I think what leads to that happiness is following that inner guidance. If we can just be kind to ourselves, follow our inner guidance, and kind of bring ourselves out of this Queen of Wands reversed energy. There's some 10 of Cups. There's a 10 of Cups at the end of the week. And that could be whatever it is that makes you happy. Maybe you're going to go to a movie. Maybe you're just going to go to church on Sunday. Whatever it is at the end of the week here, maybe some time with family, or maybe because you retreated and went within and kind of avoided any conflict with others. You know, there's it turns out to be a pretty good week. Let me just take a look. Yeah, the Spirit is really just saying retreat this week. Take some time, focus on your own inner peace. Try to stay out of this mental ruminations, this back and forth. Let's take a look at this Queen of Wands. Why did it come out reversed, Spirit? Why did that Queen of Wands come out reversed? Looks like our mindset is the biggest problem this week. Here, collective. Why'd that Queen of Wands come out reversed, Spirit? There we go. Power. This is about, it's some Aries energy, and so I'm not going to blame it on an Aries. Why did the Queen of Wands come out reversed? But that's fire energy reversed, and then you have fire energy and the Emperor coming out again. So, and that's about giving our power away and standing in our own power. Just looking at that. And it's worth addressing in ourselves why we're avoiding our inner calling, why we're avoiding how Spirit is guiding us, why are we mentally kind of fighting ourselves when if we just follow the guidance that we're receiving internally. I'm not talking about myself or any other tarot reader. I mean like our own internal guidance. Why, that leads to the ultimate happiness. And whether it's fear, whether it's just lack of trust. I run into this myself with the, I'll get like an intuitive hit, and I'll know that I should go ahead and move forward with something or not move forward with something, and I'll do it anyway, and then learn learned very quickly why my intuition was guiding me away or toward doing a certain thing. So this is, Queen of Wands reversed here was really because about giving power away to other people, to old ideas, thoughts, beliefs. I really think that that's something to be addressed this week, this first week of August, or anytime. It doesn't even have to be this first week of August. I genuinely think that the tarot, the energy that we see here in these readings kind of reflects what's happening in the universe astrologically. I think it's just another way of reading. That the tarot is really a way of reading the astrological energy that's happening kind of in a simpler way without having to go into all the different aspects of the energy in the astrological chart of the day or the week, because it's quite complex. But overall, I do know that there's a Chiron sextile today. I can't remember with what planet, and the book is kind of out of the way, so I don't want to interrupt too much. But Chiron is the wounded healer, and so it's part of what's holding us back is these ideas, beliefs. This is actually coming out of my own reading this morning. Ideas and beliefs that we've learned from other people who we've given authority to. So the authority of our parents, the authority of society, the authority of social media, the authority of like fashion magazines, whatever the authority is that we have, celebrity culture, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Wherever we have decided that, or just the path that we thought was laid out for us. Spirit's really saying that we need to go on our own path, to follow our own lead, and to really honor ourselves with grace and kindness to the path that we have been called on. And it's really interesting because I think it looks different for each of us. So I can't tell you what your path is. Gosh, I hardly know. I don't know what mine is. But today, it's just really about doing the things that make you joyful, that bring you joy. And unless we're willing to really dive into ourselves, we can't know what those joyful things are. So give yourself some grace this week. Be kind to others. Be kind to yourself. And I just want to say thanks. If you made it this far in the reading, I appreciate any likes, shares, subscribes. I've noticed that I have a few views on my videos, and I'm pretty excited about that because I've been sitting here going, nobody's ever going to see this, so why am I even bothering? But I hope that there's something in this message today that you find useful, and if it does, please just give a like. It'll really help this channel grow. So have a great week.